Chapters 44 through 48 of the book of Ezekiel, from the World English Bible. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Mark Penfold. Chapters 44 through 48 of Ezekiel, from the World English Bible. Chapter 44. Then he brought me back by the way of the outer gate of the sanctuary, which looks toward the east, and it was shut. Yahweh said to me, "This gate shall be shut, it shall not be opened, neither shall any man enter in by it. For Yahweh, the God of Israel, has entered in by it, therefore it shall be shut. As for the prince, he shall sit therein as prince to eat bread before Yahweh. He shall enter by the way of the porch of the gate, and shall go out by the way of the same." Then he brought me by the way of the north gate before the house. And I looked, and behold, the glory of Yahweh filled the house of Yahweh. And I fell on my face. Yahweh said to me, "Son of man, mark well, and see with your eyes, and hear with your ears all that I tell you concerning all the ordinances of the house of Yahweh, and all its laws. And mark well the entrance of the house, with every exit of the sanctuary. You shall tell the rebellious, even to the house of Israel, thus says the Lord Yahweh, You house of Israel, let it suffice you of all your abominations, in that you have brought in foreigners, uncircumcised in heart and uncircumcised in flesh, to be in my sanctuary, to profane it, even my house, when you offer my bread, the fat and the blood, and they have broken my covenant, to add to all your abominations. You have not performed the duty of my holy things, but you have set performers of my duty in my sanctuary for yourselves. Thus says the Lord Yahweh, No foreigner uncircumcised in heart and uncircumcised in flesh shall enter into my sanctuary, of any foreigners who are among the children of Israel. But the Levites who went far from me, when Israel went astray, who went astray from me after their idols, they shall bear their iniquity. Yet they shall be ministers in my sanctuary, having oversight at the gates of the house, and ministering in the house. They shall kill the burnt offering, and the sacrifice for the people, and they shall stand before them to minister to them, because they ministered to them before their idols, and became a stumbling block of iniquity to the house of Israel. Therefore have I lifted up my hand against them, says the Lord Yahweh, and they shall bear their iniquity. They shall not come near to me, to execute the office of priest to me, nor to come near to any of my holy things, to the things that are most holy. But they shall bear their shame, and their abominations which they have committed. Yet will I make them performers of the duty of the house, for all its service, and for all that shall be done therein. But the priests, the Levites, the sons of Zadok, who performed the duty of my sanctuary when the children of Israel went astray from me, they shall come near to me to minister to me, and they shall stand before me to offer to me the fat and the blood, says the Lord Yahweh. They shall enter into my sanctuary, and they shall come near to my table to minister to me, and they shall keep my instruction. It shall be that, when they enter in at the gates of the inner court, they shall be clothed with linen garments, and no wool shall come on them, while they minister in the gates of the inner court, and within. They shall have linen tires on their heads, and shall have linen breeches on their waists. They shall not gird themselves with anything that causes sweat. When they go forth into the inner court, even into the outer court to the people, they shall put off their garments in which they minister, and lay them in the holy chambers. And they shall put on other garments, that they not sanctify the people with their garments. Neither shall they shave their heads, nor allow their locks to grow long. They shall only cut off the hair of their heads. Neither shall any of the priests drink wine when they enter into the inner court. Neither shall they take for their wives a widow, nor her who is put away, but they shall take virgins of the seed of the house of Israel, or a widow who is the widow of a priest. They shall teach my people the difference between the holy and the common, and cause them to discern between the unclean and the clean. In a controversy they shall stand to judge. According to my ordinances shall they judge it. And they shall keep my laws and my statutes in all my appointed feasts, and they shall make my Sabbaths holy. They shall go in to no dead person to defile themselves, but for father, or for mother, or for son, or for daughter, For brother or for sister who has had no husband they may defile themselves. After he is cleansed, they shall reckon to him 7 days. In the day that he goes into the sanctuary, into the inner court, to minister in the sanctuary, he shall offer his sin offering, says the Lord Yahweh. They shall have an inheritance. I am their inheritance, and you shall give them no possession in Israel. I am their possession. They shall eat the meal offering, and the sin offering, and the trespass offering, and every devoted thing in Israel shall be theirs. The first of all the firstfruits of everything, and every offering of everything, of all your offerings, shall be for the priest. You shall also give to the priests the first of your dough, to cause a blessing to rest on your house. The priests shall not eat of anything that dies of itself, or is torn, whether it be bird or animal. Chapter 45. Moreover, when you shall divide by lot the land for inheritance, you shall offer an offering to Yahweh, a holy portion of the land. The length shall be the length of 25,000 reeds, and the breadth shall be 10,000. It shall be holy in all its border all around. Of this there shall be for the holy place 500 in length, by 500 in breadth, square all around, and 50 cubits for its suburbs all around. Of this measure you shall measure a length of 25,000, and a breadth of 10,000. And in it shall be the sanctuary, which is most holy. It is a holy portion of the land. It shall be for the priests, the ministers of the sanctuary, who come near to minister to Yahweh. And it shall be a place for their houses, and a holy place for the sanctuary. 25,000 in length, and 10,000 in breadth shall be to the Levites, the ministers of the house, for a possession to themselves, for 20 chambers. You shall appoint the possession of the city 5,000 broad, and 25,000 long, side by side with the offering of the holy portion. It shall be for the whole house of Israel. Whatever is for the prince shall be on the one side and on the other side of the holy offering and of the possession of the city, in front of the holy offering and in front of the possession of the city, on the west side westward, and on the east side eastward, and in length answerable to one of the portions, from the west border to the east border. In the land it shall be to him for a possession in Israel, and my princes shall no more oppress my people, but they shall give the land to the house of Israel according to their tribes. Thus says the Lord Yahweh. Let it suffice you, princes of Israel. Remove violence and spoil, and execute justice and righteousness, dispossessing my people, says the Lord Yahweh. You shall have just balances, and a just ephah, and a just bath. The ephah and the bath shall be of one measure, that the bath may contain the 10th part of a homer, and the ephah the 10th part of a homer. Its measure shall be after the homer. The shekel shall be 20 gerahs. 20 shekels plus 25 shekels plus 15 shekels shall be your mina. This is the offering that you shall offer: the 6th part of an ephah from a homer of wheat. And you shall give the 6th part of an ephah from a homer of barley, and the set portion of oil, of the bath of oil, the 10th part of a bath out of the core, which is 10 baths, even a homer. For 10 baths are a homer. And 1 lamb of the flock, out of 200 from the well-watered pastures of Israel, for a meal offering, and for a burnt offering, and for peace offerings, to make atonement for them, says the Lord Yahweh. All the people of the land shall give to this offering for the prince in Israel. It shall be the prince's part to give the burnt offerings, and the meal offerings, and the drink offerings, in the feasts, and on the new moons, and on the Sabbaths, in all the appointed feasts of the house of Israel. He shall prepare the sin offering, and the meal offering, and the burnt offering, and the peace offerings, to make atonement for the house of Israel. Thus says the Lord Yahweh. In the 1st month, in the 1st day of the month, you shall take a young bull without blemish, and you shall cleanse the sanctuary. The priest shall take of the blood of the sin offering, and put it on the doorposts of the house, and on the 4 corners of the ledge of the altar, and on the posts of the gate of the inner court. So you shall do on the 7th day of the month for everyone who errs, and for him who is simple. So you shall make atonement for the house. 'In the first month, in the 14th day of the month, you shall have the Passover, a feast of 7 days. Unleavened bread shall be eaten. 'On that day shall the prince prepare for himself, and for all the people of the land, a bull for a sin offering. 'The 7 days of the feast he shall prepare a burnt offering to Yahweh, 7 bulls and 7 rams without blemish, daily the 7 days, and a male goat daily for a sin offering. 'He shall prepare a meal offering, an ephah for a bull, and an ephah for a ram, and a hin of oil to an ephah. 'In the 7th month, in the 15th day of the month, in the feast, shall he do the like the 7 days, according to the sin offering, according to the burnt offering, and according to the meal offering, and according to the oil.'" Chapter 46. Thus says the Lord Yahweh: "The gate of the inner court that looks toward the east shall be shut the 6 working days, but on the Sabbath day it shall be opened, and on the day of the new moon it shall be opened. 'The prince shall enter by the way of the porch of the gate outside, and shall stand by the post of the gate. 'And the priests shall prepare his burnt offering and his peace offerings, and he shall worship at the threshold of the gate. Then he shall go forth, but the gate shall not be shut until the evening. 'The people of the land shall worship at the door of that gate before Yahweh on the Sabbaths and on the new moons. 'The burnt offering that the prince shall offer to Yahweh shall be on the Sabbath day, 6 lambs without blemish, and a ram without blemish. 'And the meal offering shall be an ephah for the ram, and the meal offering for the lambs as he is able to give, and a hin of oil to an ephah. 'On the day of the new moon it shall be a young bull without blemish, and 6 lambs, and a ram; they shall be without blemish. 'And he shall prepare a meal offering, an ephah for the bull, and an ephah for the ram, and for the lambs according as he is able, and a hin of oil to an ephah. 'When the prince shall enter, he shall go in by the way of the porch of the gate, and he shall go forth by its way. 'But when the people of the land shall come before Yahweh in the appointed feasts, he who enters by the way of the north gate to worship shall go forth by the way of the south gate, and he who enters by the way of the south gate shall go forth by the way of the north gate. He shall not return by the way of the gate by which he came in, but shall go forth straight before him. 'The prince, when they go in, shall go in with them, and when they go out, he shall go out. 'In the feasts and in the solemnities the meal offering shall be an ephah for a bull, and an ephah for a ram, and for the lambs as he is able to give, and a hin of oil to an ephah. 'When the prince shall prepare a freewill offering, a burnt offering or peace offerings as a freewill offering to Yahweh, one shall open for him the gate that looks toward the east, and he shall prepare his burnt offering and his peace offerings as he does on the Sabbath day. Then he shall go forth, and after his going forth one shall shut the gate. You shall prepare a lamb a year old without blemish for a burnt offering to Yahweh daily. Morning by morning you shall prepare it. 'You shall prepare a meal offering with it morning by morning, the 6th part of an ephah, and the 3rd part of a hin of oil, to moisten the fine flour, a meal offering to Yahweh continually by a perpetual ordinance. Thus shall they prepare the lamb, and the meal offering and the oil, morning by morning, for a continual burnt offering. 'Thus says the Lord Yahweh: If the prince give a gift to any of his sons, it is his inheritance, it shall belong to his sons, it is their possession by inheritance. 'But if he give of his inheritance a gift to one of his servants, it shall be his to the year of liberty. Then it shall return to the prince. But as for his inheritance, it shall be for his sons. Moreover, the prince shall not take of the people's inheritance, to thrust them out of their possession. He shall give inheritance to his sons out of his own possession, that my people not be scattered every man from his possession.' Then he brought me through the entry, which was at the side of the gate, into the holy chambers for the priests, which looked toward the north. And behold, there was a place on the hinder part westward. He said to me, 'This is the place where the priests shall boil the trespass offering and the sin offering, and where they shall bake the meal offering, that they not bring them forth into the outer court to sanctify the people.' Then he brought me forth into the outer court, and caused me to pass by the 4 corners of the court. And behold, in every corner of the court there was a court. In the 4 corners of the court there were courts enclosed, 40 cubits long and 30 broad. These 4 in the corners were of one measure. There was a wall around in them, around the 4, and boiling places were made under the walls all around. Then he said to me, "These are the boiling houses, where the ministers of the house shall boil the sacrifice of the people." Chapter 47. He brought me back to the door of the house, and behold, waters issued out from under the threshold of the house eastward, for the forefront of the house was toward the east. And the waters came down from under, from the right side of the house, on the south of the altar. Then he brought me out by the way of the gate northward, and led me round by the way outside to the outer gate, by the way of the gate that looks toward the east. And behold, there ran out waters on the right side. When the man went forth eastward with the line in his hand, he measured 1,000 cubits, and he caused me to pass through the waters, waters that were to the ankles. Again he measured 1,000, and caused me to pass through the waters, waters that were to the knees. Again he measured 1,000, and caused me to pass through the waters, waters that were to the waist. Afterward he measured 1,000, and it was a river that I could not pass through, for the waters were risen, waters to swim in, a river that could not be passed through. He said to me, "Son of man, have you seen this?" Then he brought me, and caused me to return to the bank of the river. Now when I had returned, behold, on the bank of the river were very many trees on the one side and on the other. Then he said to me, "These waters issue forth toward the eastern region, and shall go down into the Arabah, and they shall go toward the sea. Into the sea shall the waters go which were made to issue forth, and the waters shall be healed. It shall happen that every living creature which swarms in every place where the rivers come shall live. And there shall be a very great multitude of fish, for these waters are come there, and the waters of the sea shall be healed, and everything shall live wherever the river comes. It shall happen that fishermen shall stand by it. From En-gedi even to En-eglaim shall be a place for the spreading of nets. Their fish shall be after their kinds, as the fish of the great sea, exceeding many. But the miry places of it, and its marshes, shall not be healed. They shall be given up to salt. By the river on its bank, on this side and on that side, shall grow every tree for food, whose leaf shall not wither, neither shall its fruit fail. It shall bring forth new fruit every month, because its waters issue out of the sanctuary, and its fruit shall be for food, and its leaf for healing. Thus says the Lord Yahweh, this shall be the border by which you shall divide the land for inheritance according to the 12 tribes of Israel. Joseph shall have 2 portions. You shall inherit it, one as well as another, for I swore to give it to your fathers. And this land shall fall to you for inheritance. This shall be the border of the land. On the north side, from the great sea by the way of Hethlon to the entrance of Zedad, Hamath, Berothah, Sibraim, which is between the border of Damascus and the border of Hamath, Hazor Hatakan, which is by the border of Haran. The border from the sea shall be Hazar Enon, at the border of Damascus, and on the northward is the border of Hamath. This is the north side. The east side between Haran and Damascus and Gilead and the land of Israel shall be the Jordan. From the north border to the east sea you shall measure. This is the east side. The south side southward shall be from Tamar as far as the waters of Meraboth Kadesh, to the brook of Egypt, to the great sea. This is the south side southward. The west side shall be the great sea, from the south border as far as over against the entrance of Hamath. This is the west side. So you shall divide this land to you according to the tribes of Israel. It shall happen that you shall divide it by lot for an inheritance to you and to the strangers who sojourn among you, who shall father children among you. And they shall be to you as the native born among the children of Israel. They shall have inheritance with you among the tribes of Israel. It shall happen that in what tribe the stranger sojourns, there you shall give him his inheritance, says the Lord Yahweh. Chapter 48. Now these are the names of the tribes. From the north end, beside the way of Hethlon to the entrance of Hamath, Hazar Enan at the border of Damascus, northward beside Hamath, and they shall have their sides east and west. Dan, one portion. By the border of Dan, from the east side to the west side, Asher, one portion. By the border of Asher, from the east side even to the west side, Naphtali, one portion. By the border of Naphtali, from the east side to the west side, Manasseh, one portion. By the border of Manasseh, from the east side to the west side, Ephraim, one portion. By the border of Ephraim, from the east side even to the west side, Reuben, one portion. By the border of Reuben, from the east side to the west side, Judah, one portion. By the border of Judah, from the east side to the west side, shall be the offering which you shall offer, 25,000 reeds in breadth, and in length as one of the portions, from the east side to the west side, and the sanctuary shall be in its midst. The offering that you shall offer to Yahweh shall be 25,000 reeds in length, and 10,000 in breadth. For these, even for the priests, shall be the holy offering. Toward the north 25,000 in length, and toward the west 10,000 in breadth, and toward the east 10,000 in breadth, and toward the south 25,000 in length. And the sanctuary of Yahweh shall be in its midst. It shall be for the priests who are sanctified of the sons of Zadok, who have kept my instruction, who didn't go astray when the children of Israel went astray, as the Levites went astray. It shall be to them an offering from the offering of the land, a thing most holy, by the border of the Levites. Answerable to the border of the priests, the Levites shall have 25,000 in length, and 10,000 in breadth. All the length shall be 25,000, and the breadth 10,000. They shall sell none of it, nor exchange it, nor shall the firstfruits of the land be alienated, for it is holy to Yahweh. The 5,000 that are left in the breadth, in front of the 25,000, shall be for common use, for the city, for dwelling and for suburbs, and the city shall be in its midst. These shall be its measures: the north side 4,500, and the south side 4,500, and on the east side 4,500, and the west side 4,500. The city shall have suburbs: toward the north 250, and toward the south 250, and toward the east 250, and toward the west 250. The remainder in the length, answerable to the holy offering, shall be 10,000 eastward, and 10,000 westward. And it shall be answerable to the holy offering, and its increase shall be for food to those who labor in the city. Those who labor in the city, out of all the tribes of Israel, shall cultivate it. All the offering shall be 25,000 by 25,000. You shall offer the holy offering foursquare, with the possession of the city. The residue shall be for the prince, on the one side and on the other of the holy offering and of the possession of the city, in front of the 25,000 of the offering toward the east border, and westward in front of the 25,000 toward the west border, answerable to the portions. It shall be for the prince. And the holy offering and the sanctuary of the house shall be in its midst. Moreover, from the possession of the Levites, and from the possession of the city, being in the midst of that which is the prince's, between the border of Judah and the border of Benjamin, it shall be for the prince. As for the rest of the tribes, from the east side to the west side, Benjamin, one portion. By the border of Benjamin, from the east side to the west side, Simeon, one portion. By the border of Simeon, from the east side to the west side, Issachar, one portion. By the border of Issachar, from the east side to the west side, Zebulun, one portion. By the border of Zebulun, from the east side to the west side, Gad, one portion. By the border of Gad, at the south side southward, the border shall be even from Tamar to the waters of Meribath Kadesh, to the brook of Egypt, to the great sea. This is the land which you shall divide by lot to the tribes of Israel for inheritance, and these are their several portions, says the Lord Yahweh. These are the exits of the city: on the north side 4,500 reeds by measure, And the gates of the city shall be after the names of the tribes of Israel. 3 gates northward: the gate of Reuben, 1; the gate of Judah, 1; the gate of Levi, 1. At the east side 4,500 reeds, and 3 gates: even the gate of Joseph, 1; the gate of Benjamin, 1; the gate of Dan, 1. At the south side 4,500 reeds by measure, and 3 gates: the gate of Simeon, 1; the gate of Issachar, 1; the gate of Zebulun, 1. At the west side 4,500 reeds, with their 3 gates: the gate of Gad, 1; the gate of Asher, 1; the gate of Naphtali, 1. It shall be 18,000 reeds around. And the name of the city from that day shall be, Yahweh is there. The end of the book of Ezekiel, from the World English Bible. Recording by Mark Penfold.